want to ask you about a brilliant piece that you wrote in the New York Post about Barack Obama's comments in the aftermath of that horrific mass shooting in Texas. Tell me, what was he thinking sending out something so tone deaf and preoccupied with the George Floyd case as the nation grieves the horrific murders of these children?
It was very strange. I mean, Barack Obama, whatever people think of him as a politician, he is astonishingly good as a politician. He has a very, very good ear normally for the public mood and the way to approach it. You know, he's got a seriously impressive political ear. This, though, was seriously tone deaf. I mean, in the wake of the atrocity in Texas, you don't need to add anything else. You know, you really don't. And saying, well, you know, we also remember the second anniversary of the murder of George Floyd is like, well, fine, but you know, the issue really with this is, Rita, as I wrote in that piece in the New York Post, the fact that the Democrats and others just cannot stop pushing this narrative about the George Floyd case as if there was something about it that was emblematic, first, of policing in the U.S., and secondly, of the U.S. as a whole. It's a deeply unfair narrative. President Biden obviously weighed into it also this week. You know, he talked about the fact that he's become friends, he says, with the George Floyd family in the 2 years since his death. Well, you know, once again, you know, there are thousands and thousands of black families in the United States who lose their loved ones every year to gun violence carried out by other black Americans. And these don't get the attention. These don't become the celebrity cases. I mentioned in that piece, you know, there are white Americans like a man called Tony Timper killed in Texas in 2016 in a way very similar to George Floyd. Nobody befriended his family. Very few people even thought the case was particularly interesting because Tony Timper was white, killed in a very similar way, in a similarly appalling attempt at an arrest by the arresting officers. And you know, again, you know, Biden hasn't become friends with Tony Timper's family. Barack Obama doesn't remember the 6th anniversary of his death. It's all politicized, always to push this idea that the George Floyd murder, the killing, was, you know, somehow emblematic of the United States and that there's work that has to be done, rather than, as was the case, the appalling arresting officer was charged, tried, found guilty and sentenced to prison. You know, it's not enough. They can't leave it there.
No, and in the Tony Timper case, there were no arrests or prison terms or even people being sacked. Those officers, most of them are still working in the police force. And
that's right.
Like you said, when we eventually did see the vision of what happened during that killing, absolutely horrific. And if you said the name Tony Timper, I don't think anybody in America would know who you're talking about. But of course, George Floyd has become a rallying cry.